First, let's get to John in the backyard. John, just looking back at yesterday, that escalated quickly and lasted not very long. It was just a couple of hours.
No, I mean, we had that cold front. It only precipitated for about an hour, not even half hour. It just happened to be freezing rain right around the metro. And then it went back to snow right after the metro. It was an interesting deal. I would have rather had light snow than freezing drizzle and rain. Sorry about that. It was a bummer. It took me forever to get home. The 24-hour temperature change, -8 to -28. It's cooling down to the northwest, 30 degrees colder in the northwest pocket of the state. And you can see we're sitting at around 11, -5 in Thief River Falls, -7 in Bemidji, -9 in International Falls. So temperature's definitely cold once you get up towards Bemidji. It's all from that northwest wind that was following that cold front from yesterday. High pressure is going to start settling in here in a little bit. 10 to 15 by 11, and then 22 this afternoon. A lot of sunshine, fairly quiet day, but it looks more like January out here, Cece. How's it looking now?
Yeah, good morning. That freezing rain yesterday was no joke. So many crashes happened because of that, but things did end up getting better. So this morning we're not seeing any ice on the roads out there right now, which is great for your morning drive today. And taking a look here outside, this is on I-35 right before you get to that Burnsville split. Things look great in that area. A lot of traffic picking up. No crashes all morning, which is great. I am keeping my eye on 394 and 94 through the Laurie Hill Tunnel. Those areas tend to get more hectic around 6:30, 6:45. So I'll give you an update about that throughout the show.
All right, Cece, thank you very much. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. Breaking this morning, Minneapolis police are investigating a homicide. They confirmed just 6 hours ago a man was shot and killed inside the historic Abbott Apartments on East 18th Street. Right now, no arrests have been made, but we have reached out for more information, and we'll update you as soon as we know more. This morning, reaction is pouring in following President Trump's first State of the Union address of his second term. In his speech, he declared America is back as he listed his administration's achievements, talking heavily on inflation and the economy.
The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. And in the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%.
And just a little context here, inflation was at 2.9% when Trump took office, which is not a record high level. The president also talked about Minnesota and immigration enforcement. Megan McPherson joins us live from the live desk with more on that, plus reaction we're hearing from lawmakers. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning. During his address, President Trump defended immigration enforcement, saying, quote, "The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens." Republicans applauded while Democrats stayed seated. The president then said they should be ashamed for not standing, leading to a heated exchange, which included Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
You should be ashamed of yourself. Serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases,
more than 24 Democratic members of Congress, including Senator Tina Smith, skipped the address, instead attending the People's State of the Union on the National Mall. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey was among the speakers at the State of the Swamp counter address, accusing the federal government of overreach in recent immigration enforcement in the city.
People who simply want a fair shot, a safe neighborhood, and a government that treats them with kindness and respect, that's not too much to ask for. And when those residents stand up peacefully for their neighbors, you know what that is? Something deep and important. That's called patriotism.
And President Trump also touted his administration's economic achievements. I'll share a reaction from political experts coming up in about 30 minutes.
All right, Megan, thank you very much for that. A lot to get to at the state capitol, including testimony on the economic impacts of Operation Metro Surge. Audrey Russo is live at the Capitol. And Audrey, what do we know about this hearing?
Yeah, we don't have a ton of detail ahead of this 12:30 hearing. This is the Senate's Economic Development Committee. Now, we know that it's going to focus on the economic impact of ICE and Operation Metro Surge, but there's some things we can infer based on who's on the list to testify. So first up, we've got the Minneapolis and St. Paul mayors. Both leaders noted decreased foot traffic in local businesses as people were afraid to leave their homes during Metro Surge. Now, St. Paul launched a $4 million grant program to help small business owners. Minneapolis reported $81 million in lost revenue during that time. Also set to testify, a number of small business owners themselves, including the owner of Crumbs and Coffee in Brooklyn Park. You may remember that was one of the first businesses targeted by ICE back in December. Now, immigration, of course, is just one of several big issues that lawmakers are going to be tackling today. Coming up in about 30 minutes, I'll have more on some anti-fraud legislation the House DFL party is planning on unveiling today. But for now, I'll send things back to you.
Audrey Russo reporting live from the Capitol this morning. Thank you very much. And sticking with the Capitol, gun restrictions will be back in the spotlight today. At 1 o'clock, the House Elections Committee will hear a bill giving local governments more control over gun laws. Then at 3, the House Education Policy Committee will discuss changes to when guns would be allowed on school property. This follows powerful testimony from Annunciation parents urging lawmakers to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Several shared pretty emotional stories about the lasting impact on their families. One mom said bullets hit her 6-year-old son, leaving fragments in his body that doctors are still monitoring. The mother of 10-year-old Harper Moisky, who was killed, also spoke, saying weapons capable of that kind of destruction should not be allowed and available to civilians.
The damage to Harper's body was so severe, we were not allowed to see her, hold her, or be with her body ever again. And then, months later, as the pews were removed from that church, more of her remains were found. We had to cremate our daughter a second time.
At the end of the day, the committee voted along party lines and the legislation did not move forward. But House lawmakers say they will talk about this again in the Public Safety Committee. New this morning, we're learning the Louvre Museum is getting a new director following that massive jewel heist in October. Art historian Christophe Larabeau, a veteran museum director, is set to be confirmed later today. The museum is still in crisis after 4 people got away with more than $100 million in jewels in broad daylight. They've been arrested, but the jewels are still missing. We now have an update on the suspect police say killed his cousins inside a North Minneapolis home. Multiple sources identifying him as 23-year-old Eddie Duncan. He was arrested earlier this month on a warrant stemming from an incident back in May where he was accused of fleeing a police officer, leading officers on a chase, reaching 90 miles per hour, and possessing a machine gun. A judge ordered a mental competency evaluation. He was released Monday to wait for that exam after posting $35,000 bond. Just hours after being released, police believe Duncan shot his cousins at a Minneapolis home. Officers caught up with the suspect in Brooklyn Center. He was then killed in a shootout with police. Well, shocking video into our newsroom this morning showing what's left of the Superior and Sage Hotel in Wisconsin after a fire. Officials say the blaze caused an estimated $1 million in damages, including 2 partial roof collapses. Dozens of guests were evacuated from the hotel. No one was injured, thankfully. Right now, investigators are working to figure out what started that fire.